I'm really honored to be able to kick off our celebration today. Welcome to all of our award honorees. Raise your hand. Where are you? Oh, okay, you're all seated together. Welcome to our Judicial Council members as well, and all of our guests who are here today. Of course, we all jointly extend our special welcome to the families and friends and loved ones of the award honorees who are here. Raise your hands if you're in that category. I know there's a lot of you. I just would say that you also deserve our tremendous thanks and gratitude for everything that you have done to assist our honorees throughout their careers, really, and for making sacrifices to help them and enable them to be the dedicated public servants that they are. I know that they owe a little bit of their success, or maybe a lot of it, to each and every one of you, so thank you. It's really a pleasure to gather in celebration of our incredible leaders for all of their accomplishments. The council created the Distinguished Services Awards, I think about 31 years ago, and the Aranda Awards about 26 years ago. And since then, there has never been a shortage of people to recognize over the years. We proudly celebrate our public servants for really the breadth of their impact and the work that they do, all of their contributions, in addition to their day jobs, for working tirelessly to promote fairness and access to the courts. Their stories are each uniquely inspiring, and we also thank everyone who nominated them for the recognition today and those who are contributing or have already contributed to the videos that we're going to see shortly. I have a fun fact for you in terms of the number of years collectively that this group represents in terms of their service to the judicial branch. Any guesses? Her 20, no, way off. Not to single out who that was. 130 years. Of course, yes. I will say that, of course, Justice Gilbert contributes 50 of those years. He's always been an overachiever, but you'll learn that shortly. Thank you all for your years of service and for enhancing the public's trust and confidence in the judiciary. Congratulations on this important recognition by your friends and by your colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. This is really one of the most exciting days that I participate in. It really is a wonderful day to be able to recognize judicial leaders in the state of California. These prestigious awards that we're going to be presenting today shine a spotlight on the trailblazers whose exceptional leadership, contributions, and commitment have advanced access to justice across our state. We are honoring today 5 exceptional individuals who have demonstrated unparalleled commitment to public service and have made us all look very good. The Aranda Access to Justice Award is co-sponsored by the Judicial Council, the California Judges Association, the California Lawyers Association, and the Commission on Access to Justice. The award honors a judge who has demonstrated a long-term commitment to improving access to our courts and who has significantly improved access for low and moderate income Californians. We have 2 recipients who are being honored with this award this afternoon. Ask them to step forward and we will proceed with those awards. Our first Aranda Award recipient is Judge Sam Jessner. Sam, it's wonderful to see you. In fact, I walked in with your mother this afternoon, an accomplished lawyer, the first woman Bar Association president in Los Angeles, I understand. And I believe also as we were walking in, she noticed Bill Vickery's name above the door, and she said, I worked with Bill. I worked with Chief Justice Ron George, and I believe she was on the council as well. And so quite a legacy of service in your family that you are certainly carrying on. Judge Jessner, you were appointed, obviously, back in 2007, served as the court's presiding judge from 23 to 24. And as a presiding judge, you focused on expanding access to justice for court users and the public and improving court efficiency. Judge Jessner launched the Pathway Pilot Program to streamline unlimited civil case processing to reduce backlogs. You created the Mediation Volunteer Program to provide free or low-cost mediation for those unable to afford it. You partnered with public transit agencies to provide free transit for jurors, increasing civic engagement and diversity. And you've served as chair of the Judicial Council's Civil and Small Claims Advisory Committee, vice chair of the Information and Technology Advisory Committee, and this impressive list goes on and on. What you have contributed to the branch could take, obviously hours for us to talk about in terms of not only what you've done for the Los Angeles Superior Court, but what you've done for all of us. Let's watch a video at this time that celebrates Judge Jessner and the great impact she has made on advancing access to justice.
Both Judge Jessner and I serve on the Judicial Council's Civil and Small Claims Advisory Committee. Judge Jessner was just elevated from vice chair to chair of that committee this year. That committee is responsible for reviewing changes in civil law and updating forms and rules of court and responding to changes in civil law. Judge Jessner and the other committee members were very sensitive to making sure that when we're updating or creating new forms, that we make them in plain language and make them as understandable as we can. So she brings a unique perspective in that she can represent the views of a very large court system, but she also understands the perspective of users of the court.
She's now the vice chair of the Information Technology Advisory Committee, and she's the type of judge that just rolls up her sleeves and gets to work. She really is solution-oriented. How can we use technology to meaningfully improve the experience of our public who need access to our court? She was the executive sponsor of the Video Remote Interpreting Workstream. That workstream was devoted to improving access to limited English proficient citizens of our state. Also, she has led the effort of the Advancing the Hybrid Courtroom. She recognizes the importance of ensuring that members of the public are able to access our courts.
Well, I believe to her core, she is all about access to justice. I knew this before she became the presiding judge. However, as presiding judge, it was very clear that she wasn't just going to talk about access to justice. She was a person of action. I think she recognized from the very beginning that there are obstacles within our system that we need to really address and break down. Something that was revolutionary and innovative was the decision to create a partnership with Stanford Law School. The court would open its doors to academic researchers to look under the hood and give us advice on what we could do better, how we could change the actual court system. But I think what makes her a truly remarkable jurist and a transformative leader is that she cares about people. She cares about who they are, she cares about their struggles, she cares about their stories, and more importantly, she sees the potential in everyone. This deep sense of empathy that drives her every single day leads to results that we have seen across our court and that have impacted individuals beyond Los Angeles County.
And now to present the award to Judge Jessner, please welcome Judge Jeffrey Kaufman, President of CJA, California Judges Association, and Mr. Terrence Evans, President of the California Lawyers Association.
Hope the mic wasn't on.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here as president of California Lawyers Association to honor all of our winners, but in particular to have the opportunity to recognize Judge Jessner and her incredible contributions as a judge and as a member of the legal community. Instead of covering information that's already in her bio, I wanted to share a few examples that I've witnessed firsthand of her incredible service to the community. During the time that I was chair of the litigation section of California Lawyers Association, we reached out to Judge Jessner regarding our Pathways to the Bench program. And it was our effort to try to open the doors of opportunity to folks who had been underrepresented as judges here in California. Judge Jessner opened her courtroom, and we hosted a Pathways to the Bench event in her courtroom there in Los Angeles. And we had hundreds of folks who were applying or thinking about applying, attended that wonderful event there at Los Angeles Superior Court. As a result of that program, several folks not only applied, but they have now become judges of superior courts throughout California. That is a direct example of her contribution and her service to the community. In addition to that, I've seen her incredible work with California Association of Black Lawyers, which I am a vice president of, the Black Women Lawyers of Los Angeles, the Langston Bar Association, and other affinity bars throughout the state. She has worked tirelessly to make sure that women and other underrepresented groups have a seat at a table, have a voice. In addition to that, I've also seen the incredible work that she's done to create pathways for law students. And through her efforts, we've been able to create scholarship programs and mentorship programs that have had an incredible impact and made a difference in the lives of so many people. So as a result of what she has done, we have impacted lives throughout the great state of California, not just in LA County, but throughout the entire state. So I can think of no one more deserving at this moment of this incredible honor than our amazing jurors here, Judge Samantha Jessner. And so, Judge Jessner, we're so honored to have this opportunity to honor you with this amazing award.
Let me begin by expressing my deep appreciation and gratitude to admittedly a long list of people, so bear with me. I know I only have 9 minutes. So first, thank you to whoever decided the order of presentations today. More specifically, thank you for putting me first on the agenda so that I don't have to follow others who will no doubt give remarks that are far more eloquent and impressive than mine. Let me put a finer point on it. Thank you specifically for not asking me to speak after Justice Gilbert. Based on his witty and trenchant musings in the Daily Journal, the readability of his appellate opinions, and his general knack with humor and storytelling, I am glad I don't have to go after him. Sorry, Judge Conklin. Good luck. Thank you to the Judicial Council, the California Judges Association, the California Lawyers Association, and the Commission on Access to Justice, the sponsors of this award, for selecting me and Judge Chan to receive this award. And thank you, Mr. Evans, for your kind words. I want to take a minute to congratulate Justice Gilbert on this recognition, his career, and his remarkable contributions to California jurisprudence. Congratulations to Judge Conklin, who has so ably and firmly led the trial court budget advisory committee for so many years, including through some very challenging budget years. It's been a pleasure for me to serve on TICBAC. Count how many of these abbreviations I talk about over the next couple minutes, over the past year, and I've been so impressed by your extensive knowledge of court budgeting, your humility, and your sign-off. Go Dodgers. Congratulations to Rebecca Fleming. I've been very fortunate to get to know her over the past several years. It does not take long to recognize her deep knowledge of court administration. I've been impressed by her work ethic, her dedication to not only her own court, but all courts in California, her willingness to take on complicated subjects with lots of competing views, and her ability to change gears on a dime and talk about what she plans to wear to a family wedding, including whipping out her phone with photos of the options. We have all benefited from her leadership and her friendship. To say that I was very surprised when I learned that I had been selected to receive this award is an understatement. While I am honored and humbled to receive the award, I have spent the last several months feeling like a bit of a fraud, to be honest. I could not have accomplished any of the things I accomplished while serving as presiding judge of the Superior Court in Los Angeles and in connection with the Information Technology Advisory Committee, ITAC, that's 2, and the Civil and Small Claims Advisory Committee, CSAC, that's 3, without the dedicated, talented, intelligent, caring, and amazing people with whom I have had the honor and privilege to work. This award is truly a reflection of the work of many people, certainly not just me, and I accept this award on their behalf. If you have spent any time with me, you know that I tend to use the same 8 or 10 phrases over and over. For example, I often say to lawyers when discussing the requirements to file joint trial briefs, counsel, pretend there is no I in joint. When making difficult decisions as a leader, when there was little to no consensus, I would ultimately say, well, this is not a democracy. And one that I often use, especially when giving advice to young lawyers or judges, is this. I am much more interested in who I get to do something with than I am in what it is that we're going to do. Put differently, I very much value the opportunity to work with people who challenge me, who are smart, who are all in terms of the goals of the particular project, who are professional, and if I'm really lucky, who have a good sense of humor. This award represents a perfect summation of having had the opportunity to work on challenging, interesting, sometimes hot button, often ambitious projects and committees with people who are dedicated, courageous, smart, hardworking, and generally wonderful to spend time with. It's a testament to the people who have supported me and unequivocally expanded access to justice for all Californians by guiding the Los Angeles Superior Court to promulgate a pre-arraignment release protocol for nonviolent, non-serious offenders based on constitutional factors rather than their access to money. Implementing a system in Los Angeles where every litigant can have access to a verbatim record of the proceedings, even if a court reporter is not available. Partnering with Stanford Law School and other academic and research institutions to think differently and more ambitiously about self-represented litigants and better and how we can help them better understand court procedures, and as a result, participate in court proceedings in a meaningful fashion. Creating an in-house training program for Los Angeles Superior Court employees who want to learn to be court reporters and Spanish interpreters, 2 areas where there are chronic shortages. Providing an ability for litigants to upload documents electronically, refining case flow management in civil cases to more efficiently and effectively handle those cases. Training and certifying volunteer lawyers to conduct free mediations for civil litigants. Thinking deeply about remote access to courts statewide so that litigants can have meaningful access to court proceedings in a post-pandemic world. Thinking about whether a court user, often a self-represented litigant, can understand a form. And if the answer is no, how we can work together to change that. These are some of the things I have had the pleasure of rolling up my sleeves along with many others over the past several years to think about, analyze, mobilize others to do, and ultimately implement that will affect change. And not just any change, but change that has provided and will continue to provide equal and meaningful access to justice. Let me end by thanking some additional people by name. I was so fortunate to have a formidable team when I was presiding judge, including now presiding judge Sergio Tapia. In addition, my heartfelt thanks to our court executive officer and clerk of court, David Slayton, with whom many of you have had the pleasure of working with, and therefore know how lucky I was to start my term as presiding judge almost the same day he started his position at the court. I also want to thank our assistant presiding judge, Ricardo Ocampo, who was then the supervising judge of our criminal division, who was pivotal in consensus building, both inside and outside of the court. And of course, a big thanks to our senior executive team. I know there are members of ITAC and staff in the House, including Judge Hanson. I always say that we should get the award for the most fun advisory committee and the committee that gets things done. Ably led by Judge Sheila Hanson. Thank you for your kind words in the video. We have done a lot of great things in California, especially with regard to remote access long before anybody was familiar with something called COVID-19. Thank you to Commissioner Foster and the amazing Jenny Grants, who supports the work of that committee. We are always looking forward to reviewing yet another form about unlawful detainers during the pandemic or relinquishing body armor, right? Thank you to Chief Justice Guerrero, as always, for your support. And in addition, thank you to Shelley, or Michelle, whatever you're calling yourself these days. Shelley Curran, Executive Director of the Judicial Council. Shelley, there are very few conversations I have had with you during which I am not bent over laughing. But we do have serious conversations. I don't want to get people to get the wrong impression. But I appreciate your approachability. And also thank you to the other members of the Judicial Council, especially Justice Hill. How many steps do you think you logged marching through the basements and attics of our courthouses in Los Angeles? Probably several marathons worth. And we so appreciate your support, and I look forward to seeing you at a ribbon cutting ceremony in the very near future. Thank you to the community of legal services providers and bar associations that provided seemingly unending support and expertise in connection with court reporter shortages. You exemplify what it means to be members of the legal profession in terms of civility and dedication to the cause of justice. I am fortunate to be joined today by members of my family, and I have a big family. I am one of 5 kids, lucky for all of you. We only have a representative sample present. I have 2 nieces here, Alexis Black, as well as Megan Schmid. My almost 92-year-old mother, Patricia Phillips, is here. Thank you for being here and for your contribution to the submission for this award. My children, Olivia Jessner, raise your hand, you have to do it because your mom says, and Zachary Jessner. Zachary is in Dead Week in his senior year at Berkeley. I think Dead Week just means there are no parties at the fraternity, but I did find out at lunch that there is a date party tomorrow night. So I should have excised that line. Zachary has already dipped his toe into access to justice as he was a member of the Justice Corps last summer and worked in the Self-Help Center at our Pasadena courthouse. Believe me, his job was much harder than my job as a judge sitting in a complex civil courtroom, and he had much more interesting stories. Olivia is a graduate student at Stanford and plans to head to law school in the fall. This isn't even a humble brag, this is a brag. She just heard that she was accepted to Stanford Law School. Yes. only other person I know in this room who went to Stanford Law School is the Chief Justice, and things seem to be working out pretty well for her. I'm just saying. Finally, my husband, raise your hand, Greg Jessner, who managed to make it here after handling not one but two matters in court in Los Angeles this morning. That, in and of itself, manifests his dedication to me. Let me say, there's no Aranda Award, there's no PJ term, etc., without his love and support. Thank you. My mom has mentioned this award and this ceremony, I don't know, maybe 100 times over the past couple of months. And she has told me a number of times, well, I know Art Gilbert. Many people do. But she also said, I knew Ben Aranda. Well, Mom, you can tell me whether you think Ben would be proud. I sure hope the answer is yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Jessner. So well deserved. Our next Aranda Award recipient is Judge Bruce Chan from the San Francisco Superior Court. Judge Chan was appointed to the San Francisco Court as a judge in 2009. He is a founding judicial leader of the San Francisco Young Adult Court, established in 2015 as the very first court in the nation designed for young adults aged 18 through 25 facing felony charges. Over the past decade, he has developed a collaborative justice model that addresses the unique needs of low-income young adults impacted by poverty, trauma, and systemic marginalization. The Young Adult Court focuses on accountability and transformative opportunities, and his work has influenced similar programs nationwide, and he is admired nationwide for all that he has done. Additionally, Judge Chan co-founded the Asian American Recovery Services and contributed to the creation of a juvenile drug treatment court here in San Francisco. Let's watch a video that celebrates Judge Chan and the tremendous impact he has made on advancing access to justice.
Judge Chan recognized that young adults have a very different need when it comes to life, when it comes to treatment or not treatment or challenges. And so the idea of Young Adult Court was born. It's a way to increase public safety by really meeting young people where they're at, seeing what they need to be successful. It could be education, safe housing, it could be trauma treatment, could be addressing substance use. And the court seeks to sort of find out what that is, find the right tools to address it. Judge Chan and Selena Hennessy, who's the clinical director, they go all over the country speaking at conferences, at other courts, and we take calls almost every month from some state or some county that is very, very interested in what it is we've created here. And he's a wonderful, wonderful advocate for that.
He was always interested in community-based issues, objectives. He was one of the founding members of the Asian American Recovery Services that was specifically set up to address youth in the Asian community that had become addicted to drugs and got in trouble with the criminal justice system. So it was natural for him, I think, once he established himself on the court, to be interested in something like Young Adult Court. He saw that there was a need for specialized attention in a specialized court for this particular age group. He saw that we were treating 18, 19, even 23, 24-year-olds the same way we treated 40-year-olds. The way he deals with the 18 to 25-year-olds in his court is really remarkable. By virtue of himself and the court that he got going, has made all the judges more sensitive to, okay, what's the age of the defendant that I have here? What would be the best outcome here? He knows how to talk to people. He knows how to encourage them. And I think that's something that I've always admired about him.
He'll really work with the person. What do you think would work for you? What's not working? How can we make this better? That kind of unselfish, low ego approach, I think, just permeates everything Bruce does, but it makes him particularly well suited to this court. He's not looking for a title or anything else. He'll be embarrassed when he gets this award. He'll be embarrassed when he watches this video, and he'll try to shift everything to being about young adult court and the staff and the lawyers and the other people who are involved, and take the spotlight off himself. But I'm just glad that he's actually getting a little bit of spotlight for once.
An unsung hero, obviously, who has done so much for the San Francisco court and justice across our state. To present the award to Judge Chan, please welcome back Judge Kaufman and Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Justice Hill. Good afternoon. It is my distinct honor as president of the California Judges Association to present one of the Aranda Access to Justice Awards here today. As you've all heard, this award recognizes judges whose work has fundamentally expanded the promise of justice, fairness, and dignity for those who come before our courts. Our next honoree is the Honorable Bruce Chan of the Superior Court of the County of San Francisco. Now, Judge Chan's career is really a tapestry woven from a profound understanding of both the law and the human condition. He's a Stanford graduate, former trial lawyer with the San Francisco Public Defender's Office, but he's viewed our system from a number of different perspectives. From that perspective as a criminal defense lawyer, also as chief counsel to the Assembly Public Safety Committee, and for the past decade and a half as a judge here in San Francisco. But we honor him today with this pioneering vision he had, which you've heard a little bit about. This vision bridges the gap between the bench in his courtroom and really a modern neuroscience lab. About a decade ago, Judge Chan helped conceive and then presided over this groundbreaking young adult court here in San Francisco. This court, when you think about it, is built on a revolutionary and compassionate premise that the brains of 18 to 25-year-olds are still developing, particularly in areas governing both impulse control and risk assessment. As scientific research suggests, this neurological immaturity doesn't excuse crime, but it does demand a different response and a different approach, one focused on rehabilitation rather than simply on punishing. Judge Chan's courtroom became basically a laboratory for second chances. He presided not with cold detachment, but with a more engaged type of humanity. He asked those who appeared in front of him about things such as GED progress, being home with young kids and the sleep schedules that impacted, and about their prospects, job interviews. He and the team that he had wrapped around young adults, generally facing felony charges, with a coordinated web of support that included housing support, therapy, education, and employment. The results that were brought about speak volumes. Where a more traditional path may often lead to a lifetime of collateral consequences, recidivism, Judge Chan's approach and the approach of his court has seen graduates able to break cycles of trauma, addiction, and homelessness. His graduates have left this court not as hardened criminals, but as employed parents, students, and contributing members of society. By their own report, graduates have said they simply aren't the same person they were before they left young adult court. So this approach, Judge Chan's commitment to restorative justice, is rooted, as you've heard, in a lifetime of service beyond the bench. He was a founding member of Asian American Recovery Services. He served on a number of boards, including the Chinatown Youth Center and the Asian Law Caucus. It's clear that he understands that true justice requires investment in the community. So Judge Tan, you've shown all of us that the law can be both smart and merciful. You've answered the call to build a more equitable system. In your case, it's one young adult at a time. You've given what could just be a theoretical promise of access to justice, a very unique, living, breathing, and in the end, profoundly successful form. So for your visionary leadership and your unwavering compassion and your dedication to ensuring that our legal system provides young adults with access to a bespoke form of justice tailored to their particularized needs, it is my great privilege to present you with the Aranda Access to Justice Award.
Thanks. I'm a little overwhelmed, to say the least, because like most trial court judges, until this started happening 10 years ago or so, my preference was always to toil in relative obscurity, which is the ambition of most trial court judges. And I want to do a special thank you to Judge Jessner, who reminded me that no, it's not time for you to go up there just yet. Wait till they introduce you. Boy, I wish you were my presiding judge in San Francisco at some point. You would have steered me right. One of the highlights of today was getting to meet Justice Gilbert in person. I've been reading his columns for years. I went up to him, I said, I like your stuff, it's great. And you know what happened? What he did? He said he's going to send me a book. So for those of you who are looking to save a little money, just tell Arthur Gilbert he's great. Thank you, Judge Conklin, for the very kind introduction, and to the Chief Justice and all the members of the council for having me here today and this great honor. As you heard, we started our court 10 years ago because 18 to 25-year-olds are overrepresented in the criminal justice system in proportion to their percentage of the overall population. And at the same time, we all know that transitional age youth have this incredible capacity to learn and to change. I know we have some trial court judges here in the room and some appellate court justices who maybe are trying to forget what those days were like. But when you're facing a young person who's committed a serious crime, I mean, how many times have you wished that there was a residential treatment program where people understood their behavior, where there were educational and vocational training provided by professionally trained supportive adults, where the young person was positively occupied during most of the day, and if they were spending time with peers, that those peers were doing the same thing. Well, we have programs like that in every one of our jurisdictions. It's called college. And for us, the real issue has always been, should how we respond to the inevitable missteps of young people depend on income and access to higher education? Judge Conklin talked about the neuroscience, and I'm not going to go through and give you the dumbed down version of neuroscience because it's taken me 10 years to be moderately conversant about that. But I would just ask you to consider this. If you were ever under the age of 25, were you ever able to rent a car from Avis or Hertz? Or did they say, we can rent you a car, but it's going to cost you an additional $500? You know, that bastion of neuroscience, the rental car business, they understand something about young adults, and that they tend not to control their emotions really well, and their decision-making can be somewhat flawed. I know we have parents of teenagers and young adults here. We all were in that stage at one point. But if you ask any parent of a teenager or young adult, they'll tell you that while their son or daughter can cast a ballot, they can enlist in the armed forces, they can drink in a bar, they can drive a car, they can go get inked in a tattoo parlor, they still have an awful lot to learn. First, they have to continue their education. Then they have to learn how to get up in the morning on time to get to work, to figure out what to do when they get there and how to get along with others. They have to understand for themselves who should be their partner and hopefully a healthy relationship. They have to, while striving for that sense of self, they have to understand in their hearts and know that life is going to have a series of ups and downs. There are going to be challenges. There's going to be, hopefully, a parent, a teacher, a coach, a relative, or some responsible adult who's willing to listen and to offer a helping hand at some point. I think the bottom line for us has always been we want to develop resilient young people who will understand that there will be challenges. It's not a question of will there be, it's a question of when. And we want them to have both the emotional and practical skills to navigate those inevitable ups and downs. This work from the outset for me has always been deeply personal. You heard reference to my prior career, but as a young public defender in the early 1980s, I represented countless clients who were being prosecuted for possessing and selling small amounts of crack cocaine, typically $20. Many, if not most, sold in order to consume, to fuel their own addiction. And nonetheless, during that era, the demands of the never-ending war on drugs was to prosecute and to imprison predominantly black men whose use of drugs by virtue of their economic disadvantage occurred on city streets or public housing courtyards rather than in upscale nightclubs, bars, or within private homes. Certainly, when I was a lawyer in that era, there were fewer treatment alternatives than today. There were no drug courts. And moreover, the prevailing belief amongst judges and prosecutors was that if a person previously didn't seek help or was unsuccessful in treatment, he or she wouldn't be given another chance, except in rare instances. We now know, over the years, that the first attempt at treatment is often unsuccessful. Depending on the duration and severity of one's addiction, it may take a while, several tries at least, punctuated by episodes of relapse before the person can achieve sobriety. And even back in the 1980s, the results were abundantly clear. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters were cycling in and out of jail, prison, and addiction. Grandparents were doing their best to raise children instead of their incarcerated parents. And not only were the elderly fraying under the burden of being full-time parents, so were the institutions that define and bind together communities. As public defenders, we could do little to either stop or slow a court system that seemed to us intent on punishing instead of treating addiction. The clients that you may have heard about in young adult court, they are the children and the grandchildren of the people that I represented as a lawyer. Most, if not all of them, have been neglected. They've witnessed extreme violence, persistent poverty, and critically, they've lacked the parental example and guidance that's the key to having someone transition successfully into adulthood. So in many ways, our court is an after-the-fact substitute for something that should have happened years ago. 10 years on, 200 graduates later, we've made one small step in trying to right a wrong. We've started to straighten something out that's been crooked for far too long. At the dedication of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., President George W. Bush said, "A great nation does not hide its history. It faces its flaws and corrects them." And that's been the story of the judiciary in California. Our collaborative courts are dedicated to the proposition that we cannot arrest our way out of complex social problems. Beginning under the leadership of Chief Justice George and continuing with Chief Justice Kantil Sakaue and, of course, Chief Justice Guerrero, California has created and supported drug courts throughout the state. Learning from our neglect of those men and women who served in Vietnam, there are veterans justice courts to address the myriad issues and the myriad needs of those who served in the Middle East and beyond. And now, relying upon the neuroscience of the developing brain, not as an excuse, but as an explanation, we have young adult courts. And I see Judge Hernandez is here, a proud, I think as birth parent of the Orange County Young Adult Court. If you ask any of the presiding judges in any of the 58 counties, I think they'll tell you that their courts are like an emergency room in a busy public hospital. Every day, we confront these intractable, difficult social problems, whether it be homelessness, mental illness, chronic poverty, child abuse, and neglect, to name a few. But we as judges have a real chance to make an impact upon our communities by investing in young people. And that's what's been the most satisfying thing about this. My children are here today along with my wife. They've been great teachers to me about the vagaries of being a transitional age youth. I haven't used some of the counseling skills I used on them. It's usually been more of an enlightened dictatorship, as Judge Jessner referred to. But to give you just a flavor of our court, and I know I could talk for another hour if I was given that, and I'm coming up on my 9 minutes. Let me tell you what we tell our participants from day one. You're going to come to court every week in the beginning. We're going to work together, not telling you, but we're going to work together to create a plan around the goals you want to achieve. And we're going to hold you accountable to those goals, and we'll respond to both success and to those occasions when you come up short. We're going to problem solve together, whether it's housing, food assistance, replacing your Social Security card, getting health care, taking the driving test, paying off all those parking and moving violations that you had when you were an unlicensed driver, finishing school, and of course, trying to find suitable childcare. But most important of all, there are going to be honest and at times difficult conversations in order to understand what brought you to us in the first place. What was the impact of your conduct upon others? And what are the steps that you can take to achieve some form of success in life as you define it? And it's been, hands down, the most enjoyable thing I've ever done as a judge. It's been a privilege to be part of the journey of so many young people. And for the 200 graduates, I feel like my family expanded from 2 kids to 202. This award, I'm the recipient, but in many ways it's to be shared with all the members of the team, many of whom are here today. And your dedication to not giving up, not quitting on people has been something that's inspired me. I'll close just by saying one of our participants a long time ago, I told him, I said, you know, as a court, as a team, we don't quit on people easy, but I can't have you quit on yourself. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, after he'd been falling short on things, he talked to his case manager and says, you know something, I really feel like I was quitting on myself. It's those moments that have enriched me, and I am so grateful to the Judicial Council for this award. And on behalf of the entire team, it's something we're going to cherish forever. So thank you very much.
Two absolutely wonderful honorees, and please join me in giving them both another round of applause. Our first Distinguished Service Awardee is Court Executive Officer Rebecca Fleming from the Santa Clara Superior Court. Ms. Fleming has dedicated her career to strengthening California's judicial system, serving over 18 years in senior management before becoming CEO of the Santa Clara Superior Court in 2017. Rebecca has led technological innovations that have improved public access and streamlined court operations, such as online case viewing, fine payments, and real-time updates. Ms. Fleming actively fosters collaboration between the court and county government, promoting civic engagement through a number of outstanding outreach projects. Rebecca is a strong advocate for statewide funding equity, serving as vice chair of the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee and working with the legislature on various budget solutions. She is a trusted and valued voice in the court CEO community and highly respected across the state. She is also championing all the time initiatives to enhance access to justice, including improving interpreter services, addressing court reporter shortages, and standardizing court data collection. Let's watch a short video that celebrates Ms. Fleming and the remarkable impact that she has had on the advancing justice here in California.
that Rebecca is driven by public service. She believes in the work of the court. I think she loves the court. And I think that she believes in justice. She believes in the court's position in ensuring democracy in our country. And I think that she is committed to public service all the time in all the things that she does. She helped us to develop a strategic plan. And part of that strategic plan really was focused on what will our court do to make sure that we have access to justice, that we have fairness, that we do things without bias and impartially. She's also really been on the forefront of technological things like remote appearances and developing tools like the ability to pay tool for traffic tickets and that kind of thing. She has helped to bring us into the 21st century. She does really great things for our court, but she also is having an impact statewide with the other CEOs. I think she's highly respected around the state. This award is so appropriate for somebody with such reach and such impact across the whole state.
Rebecca's able to bring her knowledge and experience that she's gained in her years in Stanislaus and Santa Clara to a much broader statewide perspective when issues come up from a policy standpoint, from an operational standpoint, technology, all those areas. She can bring her experience and knowledge to the table, work with other court executives, other judges, other branch leaders, members of the legislature. She's just got a track record and a history of really representing the interests of our branch, both internally and externally, very, very well. She is concerned about others, and she is motivated to do the right thing for the public good. And I don't think you can top those qualities when you're looking at a court executive officer here in California.
I had the privilege of coming to know Rebecca when we came to the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee together. The Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee is a committee made up of presiding judges and court executive officers whose role is to make decisions concerning funding for the trial courts. As soon as I was appointed chair, based upon working with Rebecca, I knew I needed somebody of her caliber to make this committee successful. The court executive officers are really the secret to the success of the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee because they make funding decisions and deal with funding issues almost every day. And she has such respect from CEOs statewide. They trust her. She's so skilled in knowing what the courts need and helping them to do their job. So as a statewide CEO, I think people will look back at Rebecca and say, she was there for us, and she got us what we needed to do our job, and she should be thanked and appreciated for that.
On top of being so accomplished, you're just a joy to work with, as anyone who has worked with you on any committee or any endeavor. And now to present the award to Ms. Fleming, please welcome Court Executive Officer Kim Turner from the Mendocino Superior Court.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice Guerrero, council members, and all the honored guests that are here today. When I'm asked about my job as a CEO, I often tell people that it's like being a short order cook with really complicated recipes. The number of decisions on subjects ranging from personnel to budget to technology to facilities to community engagement to procedural fairness, and the consequences of those decisions are often daunting and far-reaching. The CEO wears many hats: clerk of the court, jury commissioner, and chief of operations and administration. The larger the court, the higher the profile in the community, and the greater the impact can be on justice partners and community members who rely on court services. Satisfying the needs of litigants, lawyers, jurors, the media, and justice partners is a tall order and requires exceptional organizational skills and communication planning. Then factor in the bifurcated PJ CEO leadership model in which the leadership team exchanges every 2 years. It is incumbent on the CEO to flex her style to align with the new PJ style and priorities. These transitions must look seamless to the public, staff, and court partners, and it falls primarily to the CEO to demonstrate the steady leadership that keeps the court moving forward to meet the public service mandate. A few of the brave, and Rebecca, I would say frankly a little bit crazy, CEOs then agree to take on even more challenges by stepping up to branch leadership, chairing the important committees that provide information and policy recommendations to the council. This work requires diplomacy, strategic vision, and excellent interpersonal skills. While it's exhilarating to be engaged in this work, it's also exhausting, as the day job of the CEO in the trial court remains a constant calling. My colleague, Rebecca Fleming, has checked every box on the list of tasks I just mentioned, and has done so with poise, intelligence, and great humor. She's among those rare public servants who has embraced every aspect of her job as CEO and branch leader. As the current CEO of Santa Clara Superior Court, one of our largest trial courts, as the co-chair of the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee, one of the council's most influential committees, and as the former chair of the Court Executive Advisory Committee, the nerve center of trial court policy implementation, Rebecca has distinguished herself time and again as a visionary leader. Rebecca's time on the council was punctuated by the myriad challenges of COVID pandemic, requiring exceptional creativity to make justice services available in a time of great uncertainty and logistical complexity. Rebecca was fully immersed in every major structural change in the branch's business model during this unprecedented time. She's an innovative, tireless, and ardent advocate for our justice system. I am immensely proud of her and truly honored to have the opportunity to introduce my friend Rebecca at this ceremony, to recognize her many achievements in strengthening our branch and advancing our mission of fair and equal justice for all Californians. Please join me in honoring her amazing contributions.
I am overwhelmed and I'm suffering from imposter syndrome right now. Chief Justice Guerrero, Administrative Director Shelley Curran, members of the Judicial Council, colleagues, and friends, thank you. It is an honor to stand before you here today. I am deeply humbled to be receiving this Distinguished Service Award. The work we do in the judicial branch is more than a job. It is a calling, rooted in fairness, stability, and the service to the people who look to us in some of their hardest times. It requires long days, resilience, and an unwavering belief in the mission we share. This year, actually tomorrow, marks for me 9 years with the Superior Court of Santa Clara County and 27 years in the judicial branch. When I began this journey, my children were babies. Today they are grown adults, still on the payroll. Together with my husband, they weathered the unpredictable rhythms of a life dedicated to public service, the late nights, the weekend calls, and even the day the courthouse basement flooded when James and I were wading through the water in flip-flops trying to find the shutoff valve for the water. I am profoundly grateful for their humor, their patience, and their unwavering support. To our Chief Justice Guerrero, thank you for your extraordinary leadership. Your clarity, compassion, and steady vision challenge all of us to approach our work with integrity and courage. To Administrative Director Shelley Curran, your decisiveness, your empathy, your thoughtful leadership set the standard for how a branch built on public trust should be guided. It is a privilege to serve under your direction. Early in my career, I was directed one major direction: learn trial court funding thoroughly. The guidance was simple: read and commit to memory a paper written by Kim Turner, a newly recognized National Center for State Courts Fellow. That paper became my grounding in the work of the courts, and it still sits in my office today. Meeting Kim later and having her become both a mentor and a friend has been one of the greatest gifts of this career. Her steadiness, brilliance, and generosity continue to shape how I lead and how I serve. As the years went on, I learned that our work is sustained by the structure of the deep network of court executive officers across the state. This remarkable community represents the best of collaborative public leadership. We rely on one another for honest guidance, perspective, and the kind of grounded support that can only come from peers who share this mission. That community has shaped me in countless ways and reflects the true strength of a shared purpose. I have worked with 9 presiding judges, and I am fortunate enough to have 7 of them in this room today. Wow. Raise your hand, please. To my presiding judges, you are not simply colleagues, you are my trusted partners and friends in this work. You each embody what it means to steward justice, principled, collaborative, thoughtful, and deeply committed to the people we serve. You have stood with me through every challenge and every success, and the trust we've built has been essential to all of our accomplishments. To my executive team, the core of my court family, who is also here in the audience today. This award belongs to you as much as it belongs to me. Your dedication, creativity, and steady commitment make meaningful change possible. Every improvement and innovation has been a shared effort shaped by your belief in our mission. And to the nearly 600 extraordinary employees and judges of the Santa Clara Superior Court, you are the backbone of our institution. Every clerk, courtroom assistant, judicial officer, analyst, IT professional, janitor, manager, you contribute to the ensuring of justice. You contribute to ensuring that justice is delivered with consistency, care, and integrity. I am proud to share this recognition with you. To Judge Conklin, it is such an honor to be on this panel of recognition with you. Thank you for your leadership and your partnership in our advisory committee work. Your dedication to family, your grounded perspective, and your deep humanity make you one of the best people I know. And I want to say this clearly. Whatever work is being recognized today is in many ways the direct result of my time under your leadership. Your guidance, your example, and unwavering commitment to fairness have shaped my approach in profound and lasting ways. And finally, to my family and friends, thank you for your love, your patience, and your steadfast support through every unexpected crisis, usually power crisis, Ev, and every moment when the work required more of me than any of us planned. And to my husband, your advice to just run it the way it should be run has centered me time and time again. You gave me the confidence to lead boldly and the steadfastness to remain true to what is right. When I consider this award, I do not see it as mine alone. I see the people who taught me, supported me, walked beside me, mentors, colleagues, judges, friends, and family. This honor reflects the collective strength of a branch built on integrity, connection, and a steadfast commitment to the work of justice. Thank you, truly, for this recognition, for your trust, and for the privilege of serving alongside all of you.
How fortunate we are to be able to work with people like this. It's just amazing as we sit here and reflect on the type of people that we get to work with day in and day out. Our second Distinguished Service Awardee is Judge John Conklin from the Fresno Superior Court. Judge Conklin is the gold standard. John has dedicated 40 years to public service, including 20 years on the Fresno Superior Court. And he's one of the most humble and kind individuals that you would ever want to meet, as well as being one of the most accomplished and outstanding judges in the state of California. Not a bad combination. Judge Conklin is the judge that other judges go to with the toughest of problems. And John will drop absolutely everything, as busy as he is, to help them out. As presiding judge and executive committee member for years, he guided the court through budget challenges, expanded remote access, promoted judicial education and youth programs, being the point person for mock trial for years and years. And for the past decade, Judge Conklin has chaired the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee, where he has been instrumental in developing statewide recommendations for managing and allocating judicial branch resources, a job that really requires a combination of Henry Kissinger and maybe Condoleezza Rice, and you put it all together so well. Under your outstanding leadership, the committee has explored new approaches to achieving greater trial court funding equity, and you guided the branch with a deft touch and an even hand amid severe budget crises throughout, as well as the challenges of COVID-19, which added an extra dimension to all of it. You've ensured, John, that the budgeting process remained fair, transparent, and grounded in the best interests of the judicial branch as a whole. Everyone trusted you because you're fair to your core. And now let's watch a video that talks about John and how lucky we are to have him as a member of our branch.
Judge Conklin, after he joined the bench in Fresno Superior Court, was on the executive committee for almost 15 years. Of those 15 years, one full term of being presiding judge. He not only worked through various challenges of where we had to, for budget reasons, close down all of our outlying courts. He made sure that remote access was still available. He is committed to access to justice. Fairness, impartiality, all of those things are embodied in him. He has served as an adjunct professor at San Joaquin College of Law. He has served as the mock trial director, more or less, for the court side for probably all of the 20 years. It shows what a judicial officer should do to bring not just your own knowledge and limited corner, but to expand it, to give back beyond that which you are appointed to do.
I first met him on our trial court budget advisory committee, and he was a new presiding judge, and so he had been appointed to the committee. The advisory committee is a representation of all the courts through presiding judges and court executive officers. It reviews policy that is related to the distribution of the money that comes in through the state budget. It's a very complex issue that has so many stops and goes and speed bumps, and he was able to navigate all of these challenges that we've had and facilitate conversation among all of us. He's really facilitated some very, very significant changes over the years with the funding. He keeps it at a very high level, what's best for the branch, making sure that equity and fairness and every voice is included, and he just really is invested in success for everybody.
I first met Judge Conklin when we were both assistant U.S. attorneys, and I could tell from the first time I met him that he was someone I wanted to emulate. When I joined the Fresno Superior Court, a couple of years after he did, he was already so well respected on the bench, and that says a lot about his work ethic and just how exceptionally intelligent he is. With respect to the bench officers, he's chaired our education committee, and he has served as a supervising judge, and he's done much of our programming and materials. I have had members of the community who have served as jurors in his department or have been in his department supporting family members. tell me what an exceptional judge he is and how they felt like they had a fair hearing and a fair process. Judge Conklin is the embodiment of a great public servant. The residents of the state of California are the beneficiaries of having an incredibly exceptional judicial officer and person.
Now to present the award to Judge Conklin, Judge Kim Cabe from the Fresno Superior Court.
Thank you, Justice Hill, Chief Justice Guerrero, members of the council, and a very special welcome to Judge Conklin's family and friends. I know many of them are here today and others are watching on video. It is an absolute honor to present this award to my dear, dear friend, Judge Conklin. As you saw in the video, I've known him for 20 years. He has been on my speed dial for the entire 17 years that I have been on the bench, and he has been on the speed dial of many, many, many of our colleagues, whether it is an issue with respect to court administration or if it's a legal issue, he will drop everything to help you. Anyone that knows Judge Conklin knows he is the most timely and efficient bench officer that we have in the state. I'm quite confident in saying that. So when I was asked to make some remarks today, I remembered one of my colleagues telling me, when you're giving remarks, be interesting, be funny, but most of all, be brief. And the be brief is Judge Conklin's motto, along with Go Dodgers. We got that in 3 times, right? So I will endeavor to be brief in my remarks, but that is exceedingly difficult in summarizing why Judge Conklin is so deserving of this award. Judge Conklin, from the time that he was appointed to the Fresno Superior Court, was instantly involved in court leadership, both at the local level and at the state level. You saw from the video, he served 15 years on the court's executive committee. What was not in that video is that that required being elected every 2 years to that committee. And that says a lot about Judge Conklin, that his colleagues, both the experienced colleagues that he knew, that he came onto the bench with, as well as new colleagues, voted him into that position. And that's because that's a true testament to his leadership and his skill and his intelligence level and his advice and his guidance that they would do that. He was a supervising judge with the court. He was the presiding judge with the court. And at the time he was the presiding judge, we were coming out of the most significant budget shortfall that we had on the bench, at least since I've been a bench officer. And what that entailed for Fresno was we were required to close all of our outlying courts, 7 of them. And that was going to be quite a hit for access to justice and the fair administration of justice. But Judge Conklin took the initiative to institute remote proceedings, remote domestic violence services, electronic search warrants, remote interpreting, to make sure that those communities were not going to lose access to justice. He spearheaded those efforts, and this was all well before the pandemic. We didn't have anything remote at the time. But that shows his commitment as a public servant and his commitment to the community. Judge Conklin also served for 6 years on the Judicial Council. He's been involved in many committees and work with the Judicial Council. But his most significant work, as you've heard a little bit already here today from the prior recipients, was chairing the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee for 10 years. Many people in this room understand the work that's involved in that committee. But there are a lot of people who are family, particularly family of John, that don't really understand what was involved in that. That is a full-time job in and of itself. And Judge Conklin, at the time he's doing this, is handling the most complicated and difficult criminal calendar, criminal trials that we have, the most significant cases, and still made time and dedicated time to do that. For those who are not familiar with the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee, that committee is tasked with making recommendations to the Judicial Council on the funding for trial courts. And that committee proposes new methodologies for the allocation of funding, equal funding, among the trial courts without shifting funding among the trial courts. And that's all done in a diverse, constantly changing, dynamic environment that involves budget shortfalls. It involved the COVID-19 pandemic, just to name a few of the issues that it's dealt with. I served on that committee with Judge Conklin and saw firsthand, both as a colleague of his on the Superior Court and also on the committee, the amount of work that went into that. There's also another longtime member who's here today, David Yamasaki, and he is, for those of you who are not familiar with him, the court executive officer of Orange County Superior Court. And he submitted a letter in support of Judge Conklin's nomination for this award, and he summarized beautifully Judge Conklin's work and why he's so deserving of this award. And rather than paraphrase, I did want to read a very brief portion of that letter. Judge Conklin leads with compassion and unwavering resolve. He is a model of integrity, whether he is handling difficult budget choices or facilitating heated and contentious debates. He is ready to provide praise to others, particularly the diligent Judicial Council employees, and equally quick to accept responsibility when necessary. He consistently exemplifies that being a leader is about more than just making choices. It's about having integrity, humility, and service. I would just add to that what makes Judge Conklin so deserving of this award is not just his personal commitment to the fair administration of justice and equal access to the courts. It's because he elevates his colleagues on the Fresno Superior Court and throughout the state to do the same. And that is a true definition of an exceptional leader and a great public servant. It is my absolute privilege to present the Distinguished Service Award to Judge Jonathan Conklin.
Good afternoon, Chief, Justice Hill, and fellow council members, one and all, thank you. I'm way out of my league, so I'm going to try to keep my comments brief. I know you all want to hear from Justice Gilbert in any case, so I'm going to keep these very brief. I truly respect and appreciate this award, the comments from Judge Gabe and those on the video, but I didn't do any of this. But we sure did. This council, the members of TICBAC, we sure did. And I truly appreciate everything that they have done to help us achieve what we have. I describe this, and Rebecca knows this. I'm going to keep my comments brief because if I talk about Rebecca much, I won't make it through it. But this is truly teamwork. I've been privileged to serve on this council for 6 years. Before that, I was privileged to serve on Judicial Council subcommittees before and now. And thanks to the Chief, and thanks to Justice Hill and to Shelley, I'm looking forward to being able to continue that as I transition through some career changes, but I want to stay busy. I'm going to step away from my comments for a moment to acknowledge my wife and what she has done to allow me to do this. Because as Justice Gabe acknowledged and as others acknowledge, and Rebecca knows so well, this is about a 72-hour-a-day job. And Val, my wife, was more than patient. So I thank her for that. I looked up, before I decided to speak today, the Distinguished Service Award and what it represents, not from a me perspective, but from a perspective of why we're here. And in part, it says the award recognizes exceptional contributions to the administration of justice. It celebrates leaders and partners who demonstrate extraordinary dedication to making the judicial branch more effective and more equitable. And that is what you folks do every day. That is what we as judges and court officials do every day. For those of you in this courtroom, in this council chambers who are not in a courtroom, we try to do that every day, And from my experience as serving on this council and Superior Court for 20 years, we accomplished that goal. I was chatting with a fellow judge the other day who commented that as individuals, as judges, we're not particularly important, but the work we do as judges every day is particularly significant. I would also like to acknowledge the work of the court executive officers and their staff that allow us as judges to do our job every day. There was a comment made on the video, and I firmly believe that. And I do not mean any disrespect to my fellow judges, appellate justices, the Chief Justice, or any other judicial officer in the room. We can't do this job without our CEOs. We can't do this job without the administrative officers that run our courtrooms and our branch. And we should not forget that. I also mentioned that this award, as I mentioned that this award acknowledges it's not been individual work, it's been teamwork performed with judicial officers. And I think I'd be a little remiss, I've already acknowledged Justice Hill. I've got to say, actually, I would not be wearing a robe today if it weren't for Justice Hill. And I mean that, it's very sincere. Zlatko Theodorovich, Zlatko and I are close friends. I came on to the Trial Court Budget Advisory Committee, again, thanks in Justice Hill's help as I matriculated through, as a true novice. I'd only been on the tick-back for a few years, and I jumped in, and there was Rebecca to catch me, but then there was Zlatko to help me really understand the way the budget process of the courts work. And I so appreciated hearing speeches and addresses from everybody else. By the way, Judge Jessner's right, why they put her first and me fourth in speaking, but the comments from all you folks about the work that we do and the work that they do, and the work that the budget services takes, and the work that the importance of the budget to this branch is sort of not acknowledged a lot. And I don't mean that as a complaint, I don't mean that as a criticism, but I do mean that to say that the budget of the trial courts and the state court in particular is critical to the success of the court. And there might be other folks listening in on this today, there might not. I don't mean this as a political message, except to say our budget is critical to our success. And these folks, Rob and Zlatko and Frank, just these people I work with every day, they take this little sliver of a budget compared to the general fund of the state of California, and they work miracles with this budget. And these council members know this. They keep our courtrooms open and accessible. And sure, do I enjoy serving as the chair of Tick-Back with Rebecca? And do I enjoy, sure, but none of it is possible without that budget and without what you folks do to make that budget successful. I do want to take just a moment, I'll keep these comments brief, to acknowledge my colleagues. Judge Gabe, I don't need to say anything more except to say she and I started at the U.S. Attorney's Office. Here we are 20 years later. She hasn't aged a day, and I've aged about 40 years in that time. But I truly appreciate working with her as well. Our presiding judge, Judge Sanderson, and our presiding judge-elect, Jeff Hamilton, made the drive all the way from Fresno today to be here. I truly appreciate that. And I want to take a moment to say how important all of you are in this room, but nowhere near as important as the 8 people sitting back in that row back there today are my family members. My sister Kim and her husband Gary, my brother Dean, his wife Babs is home taking care of their grandson today. My twin brother Jeff, he's the one wearing the bright red vest that you probably all saw. and his wife, Joella. My son, Jason, who's a deputy DA in Fresno County, I couldn't be more proud of him. My daughter, Amy, she lives with her family in Tennessee and could not make the trip today, mainly because she's in Tennessee, and she's also home taking care of her 2 children and 3 foster children. So I don't know how she does it, but I truly want to appreciate and acknowledge my family, and without them, none of this would happen. I'm going to conclude my comments by acknowledging my mother and father. My dad had a saying, and my siblings know what I'm about to say. My dad used to say to all of us as we grew, find something good and praise it. And we've tried to make that a cornerstone of our careers. And that is so very applicable to what all of you do today. So I want to take just a moment and thank and praise all of you for the work you do for our trial courts. It is magnificent and appreciated. And Chief, I can't help myself. I need to make one final comment. Go Dodgers.
This is your award. Here, I'll take it. That's
great. They were in the U.S. Attorney's office.
Just over 50 years ago, our next honoree was appointed to the Los Angeles Municipal Court. But a career in the judiciary might never have happened, given his many other considerable talents. Art Gilbert is a Renaissance man who could have been many things in life. Early in life, he was torn between being an author or a jazz musician. And fortunately, his parents urged him to pursue something that might be a slightly more practical profession. While in school, several of Art's buddies formed the 4 Preps and wound up with 13 singles on the charts, appearances at the Hollywood Bowl, and your hit parade. And yet again, fortunately, your parents talked you into staying on the sidelines, maybe helping them at rehearsals on the piano, but not following them to the bright lights. Art is fond of the following quote by Louis Pasteur: "Chance or luck favors the prepared mind." Or as Art says, you see what comes up and you take a shot. Well, the California judiciary is so fortunate that he took a shot when Governor Brown asked him to be a municipal court judge in 1975. 7 years later, he was appointed to the Court of Appeal and then appointed to be presiding justice of that division. At every stage of his judicial career, he has made a real difference, instituting reforms and making it easier for people to understand and access the courts. Justice Gilbert has devoted 50 years to advancing the administration of justice in California. You have served on numerous judicial council committees, Art, and you've been deeply committed to judicial education and public understanding of the courts. Art has tirelessly mentored newer judges, teaching them both the practical nuts and bolts of judging and the deeper questions of judicial responsibility and what it means to be a judge and how to decide the really difficult cases. Art, you've taught widely, spoken at legal events, contributed more than 300 columns that we have all enjoyed, and we thank you for your wonderful service to your colleagues and to the state of California, and now a brief video to talk about how lucky we all are.
I was witness to his entire judicial career and saw how thoughtful and how devoted he was to his public service. New judges in the municipal court were assigned to the traffic court. Eventually, he became the presiding judge of the traffic court, and he was known as the king of the traffic court. He did a lot of innovative things. The first one he did was very impressive, is that he translated all the citations and information about the court into Spanish, which had never been done before. His DNA is to do the right thing on cases. A person not skilled in law could read his decisions and know what's happening and why he's reached that decision. And I think that's important. He is a model for which all of us try to achieve in doing our work.
Arthur Gilbert is considered the poet laureate of the California courts, and for very good reason. He has taught generations of judges and lawyers how to write. There is something called a Gilbert opinion, and a Gilbert opinion often starts with one or two sentences that convey the entire case. He tells you what it's about and then how it's resolved. And then he goes on to very concisely, very clearly give his reasoning. And then ask, does this make sense in the real world? That approach is utilized by so many judges and will continue to be taught for generations to come.
Arthur has authored more than 3,000 opinions, and he's authored over 300 daily journal articles. He had a column. They can be very serious and profound, and they can be so funny that you're laughing out loud while you're reading them. What I'm going to read that is so much fun is his take on T.S. Eliot. So remember, this is a motion to set aside a default. 30 days to answer. It's the cruelest month. Dead, dying, decay. An apt description for my brain, withered, not resplendent. A supplicant, having been etherized upon a table during the time to answer. I ask for relief, not with a bang, but with a whimper. He has a tremendous breadth of knowledge, of literature, philosophy, and a spattering of science. So he can bring all those to bear on his writing and his teaching. Arthur has a wonderful, nice way about embracing people, and they embrace him in return. Arthur, we all love you, and forgive me if I haven't been brief and concise enough.
And now to present the award to Justice Gilbert, Justice Elwood Louie, Administrative Presiding Justice from the 2nd District Court of Appeal.
Chief Justice Guerrero, Justice Hill, members of the council, good afternoon. I, too, am waiting to hear from Justice Gilbert. Maybe. You know, I listened to the tape, I listened to your comments, and some of these comments that I had written were redundant, so I'm going to digress a bit, so bear with me. It is my pleasure to award you, Arthur, the 2025 Distinguished Service Award. You've been an exceptional judicial officer who has served the people of the state of California for more than 5 decades. But I'm the best witness you have here, because I was appointed 10 minutes before Gilbert by Judge Governor Brown. So I was there from the beginning, and I can tell you everything he did. And he's lectured me for countless times. Sometimes I listened, sometimes I didn't. And during my hiatus from the bench, for 28 years when I was in private practice, I was his lawyer. Can you think about me representing Gilbert in a celebrated case, which I'll recommend you read, Gilbert versus Chang, where we did something brilliant. We reversed the course of the Attorney General's office, which I told them they were wrong time and time again, of not permitting a judge who retires with tenure, term of office remaining to serve in a public capacity. You couldn't teach at a public school. You couldn't return to the DA's office. I had one of your colleagues who was chief deputy DA, he wanted to be chief deputy DA, but he had term remaining. So the Attorney General said he would, enjoin that kind of, but Gilbert prevailed. So out of this came me being Gilbert's lawyer, questions from judicial colleagues. Well, how did you handle this? Did you have client control? Absolutely not. He was the smartest guy on our team and the brilliant writer he is. He's a lifetime resident of Los Angeles. He received his undergraduate degree at UCLA, where he majored in English literature. He learned well because you can see from Justice Rothschild's rendition of his comments. He got his law degree from the University of California, Berkeley, became a deputy city attorney and then a successful private practitioner before he embarked on his judicial career. He started in August 1975. We went together on almost the first day we met. I never met him before, but he was wonderful. We became bonded at that moment. He was recognized by the court leadership as someone who had the talent and people skills to be a leader, and he was made the supervising judge of the traffic court almost immediately. Yes, he was known as the king of traffic court, but I advised him and he listened to me. Don't wear your crown on the bench, and he didn't. And it's simple but ingenious innovation to translate court documents into Spanish and other languages really helped non-English speaking litigants understand what they were faced with. In 1980, Justice Gilbert was elevated to the Superior Court. He was assigned to the Juvenile Court where I was the presiding justice. The presiding judge, and supervised him. He was very able. And 2 years later, he went on to the Court of Appeal. At that time, Division 6, Chief Justice, had no place, no courtroom. So I invited him into my chambers because he had no place to dwell. And we became roommates. So what did Gilbert tell his former trial colleagues? Well, when you get on a Court of Appeal, you lose your courtroom, but you get a roommate. So, and he complained about me making too much noise, taking all the space on our conference table. But we got along. I saw him write his first opinion. I saw how he brilliantly took to his work, and it was great fun. And in 1999, Governor Gray Davis appointed him to the panel in Division 6. And he became a 43-year tenure on that court. And he took the long commute almost daily from that at the beginning from his home in Pacific Palisades. His career has been marked with many awards and recognitions for his outstanding service. He's been given the Outstanding Jurist Award by the Los Angeles County Bar Association, the Beacon of Justice Award by the Los Angeles County Law Library, the Judicial Council's Kleps Award for Judicial Outreach, been named the Appellate Justice of the Year by the Consumer Attorneys of Los Angeles twice. He received the Bernard Jefferson Award by the California Judge Association and is the 2024 recipient of the Whitkin Medal from the California Bar Association. And as you heard, he's lectured extensively, and he's helped many of us become better at our craft, and especially in writing. Now, about his book, about his column, Under Submission, is a monthly, appears monthly in the Daily Journal. He has 2 volumes of this, and they've been published by the writer group, and he has donated the proceeds of any sale of this for charitable causes. And I think that's tremendous. But one of these columns, which are often written with humor, he was describing the use of words, and he talked about a Laker named Shaq O'Neal. Heard of Shaq? And he says, well, Shaq, he's talking about the Lakers' upcoming contest with the Sacramento Kings, which Shaq referred to as the Queens. And then Gilbert writes, well, Shaq says the only way that the Kings can beat, well, he would say Queens, could beat the Lakers if they, and it starts with a C, and the second word ends with a T. So what were these words? Cheat? Cheap shots? Chicken deposit? What are these words? And Gilbert says, well, Shaq never reads the Daily Journal, so I'm not in trouble. Otherwise, he would dribble my head down the Staples court. So, you know, some of you may know that one of Shaq's hobbies, he wanted to be a policeman. And so Gilbert wrote, I don't have to worry because he only reads the Police Gazette. He doesn't read anything like the Daily Journal. So I fortunately was a member of the LA Harbor Commission. And guess what? Shaq was a reserve officer at the time. So I show him this paper that Gilbert was calling. He says, that's amusing, right? So he writes on the column, hey, Gilbert J., what makes you think I don't read this Daily Journal? And it was presented to him by his colleagues in Division 6. And he almost collapsed. He couldn't believe this had happened. It was very funny. But it's with humor, and he's received many awards for his uncommon insights and wisdom. He is known as our Judicial Poet Laureate, but he's really a humble, talented, and simply delightful person whose words cannot adequately describe him with true justice. So congratulations, Justice Gilbert, on receiving this well-deserved award. You get to keep this.
Can I go home now? Thank you, Elwood, boy. Thank you, Todd. And thank you, Chief. My comments are going to be very brief because Judge Jessner took up most of my time. You mentioned your mother, Patricia Phillips. And Patricia came in. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and she said, hi, Arthur, do you remember me? Do I remember you? I revere you, as does everyone in the bar. Your contribution to California and to the legal profession goes on forever. And I want you to know we all love you, and I want to acknowledge you. Wow, so Elwood and I met on the first day, that's right, when we were appointed. We were very young. Jerry Brown did a lot of things. He wanted to put very young people on the court. And I remember when Elwood got the call, they took him out of his crib and brought him to the phone. And we were, and he's younger than I. And Elwood was, we had our practices and we had to close our practices. So it was August 18th. When we received the call, but Elwood, and it took a while to be sworn in. So he got sworn in the day before Labor Day, and I got sworn in by Stanley Mosk on Labor Day itself, so he had seniority over me, and he has tormented me with it forever. But then he left the court and came back, and I spoke at his hearing. And I spoke about his many accomplishments and begged the panel to absolutely lose no time in appointing him so I would finally have seniority. And then he becomes the administrative presiding justice, and I'm his assistant, so you can't win, just can't win. So when I saw all those encomiums about myself on the video, and that was my name, I sort of feel like, is that really me? I feel like I'm here subbing for Arthur Gilbert because he couldn't make it. I've been a jurist now for about, 50, it's been over 50 years. And when you're doing something that you love, you don't realize it at the time. And now that I'm actually retiring, on second thought, maybe I'll change my mind and stay another year. But no, you look back on it and you realize how much I loved every minute of it. Elwood and I, when we first met, we discovered that we had a connection. My father had a delicatessen when I was a little kid, and Elwood and his parents would go to that delicatessen. And Barbara, my wife, who I will mention in a moment in greater detail, went to high school with Crystal, your wife, and we had this connection. And we become the same family for 50 years and shared just about everything in the world together. And my dad, you know, our parents have an effect on our lives. And my dad, I remember he told me when I was appointed to the court, that was the municipal court, my parents were always there for me. They never pushed me to do anything, though they were worried that, my God, he's not going to become a musician, is he? And starve to death. But my parents, I remember my dad, when I was appointed, he said, never forget who you are. And I've kept that advice to heart all the way through. And my wife, Barbara, has been invaluable. When I start writing the column, she became sort of an editor in this respect. You can't say that. You're really not going to do that, are you? Maybe you should cut this out, and so on. And so she's been by my side all the time. She's a singer. I do play the piano, and I played in a number of gigs. And some of the great jazz musicians that I knew, they said to me, you know, you've got it made, because people know you as a judge. And so as a judge, they can say you're one hell of a piano player. And the thing that worried me is that as a piano player, some people would say you're one hell of a judge, or the other way around. That always worried me. I'm grateful to my colleagues. You really can't do this job without other people. Bonnie Edwards has been with me forever, and she catches little things mistakes that I made. My colleagues, I love dearly, Justice Yegan, Justice Baltanato, and Justice Cody, and all the predecessors before that. We've been very close, and I remember sometimes we have some heated discussions in our conferences. And I remember Justice Perrin, we were just yelling at each other, and he gets up in the middle of it and yells, God, I just love this. So we have these heated discussions, and yet we all love each other, and we're all great friends. And I know that the Chief Justice is really worried about my retiring, because I'm going to continue the column. And no longer will I have the constraints, canons of judicial ethics. I actually do have profound respect for the Supreme Court. I don't know that it's mutual, but when I remember I was on the court and all the draconian legislation was passed, the 3 strikes law and everything. And at that time, I said, oh my God, this is a mess. And I was very much opposed to it. And I said, just think, in about 20 to 30 years, when they try to undo this mess, I won't be around. Boy, was I wrong about that. So I know that the Supreme Court has some real difficulty. I don't always agree with their opinions. Or to be more precise, they don't always agree with mine. But I have tremendous respect for that court, because they have a very difficult job trying to deal with legislation that is difficult to understand, difficult to draft, because of the rather difficult legislation that was passed so many years ago, and trying to undo some of the injustices that occurred because of that has been a real chore. I have to thank Jerry Brown, too. When Jerry Brown first became governor, Elwood and I were on a number of committees to help him select judges. And he was really interested in having women and people of diversity on the court. And to a large extent, it really started with Jerry. And Elwood and I worked with him to find really competent people that reflected the rich diversity of the state of California. And it was actually easy. Now, nobody thinks anything about women being judges. The best judges are, I think some of the finest judges are women. It doesn't matter. They're human beings. And we have a very diverse court now. All the governors are doing it. And that's one of the reasons why I think California is a leading jurisdiction that it is. When I hear those things mentioned about me, I say to myself, is this really me? I think when you're doing your job and you love it so much, you don't think so much about yourself, and you don't always think about the impact you may make. You think about what is the right decision. And I think as the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court said, we call balls and strikes. Well, we do, but we do a lot more than that. We make reasoned decisions that cohere. And I'll just tell you a quick story about when I first became appointed to the Court of Appeal. I said, we were a brand new division. And I said to myself, you know, I didn't have any mentors, I didn't have anyone to talk to. You can tell I'm a kind of a people person. I like trials, and I like settling cases and schmoozing with the lawyers. And people said, gee, you're going to be on the Court of Appeal. You're sure you want to do that job? And I thought of all the great jazz pianists that I really admired. Art Tatum, I don't know if any of you know about Art Tatum, but he was a certifiable genius. And I was about 13 years old, 14. My dad took me to hear him at a club, Zardi's. And he said, go up to the piano, go ahead. And I'm this little kid working my way up to the piano. And I'm sitting next to Art Tatum, and it's like an entire orchestra's playing. And I couldn't quite form the words in my head, but I knew, you better go to law school. Forget about the piano. But I thought of who were the people that I really admired. And it was certainly Art Tatum, Bud Powell, it was Herbie Hancock. I could go on and go on, name so many pianists. Bud Powell I mentioned. And I said, I looked at what they did, and you try to get ideas from the best. So I did the same thing with Court of Appeal opinions and Supreme Court opinions. Cardozo, Holmes, and Roger Traynor. And I said, what are they doing? And something just clicked in me. And I have this view. I don't mean to give a lecture, but I'll just do this very quickly. Many times, and I found myself doing this, judges write. You write to understand. And you're writing and writing, and then you think, oh, I understand it. But then you have to rewrite to be understood. Because what is an opinion? An opinion is something telling somebody what they can do and what they can't do. It's telling a judge, you can do this, but you shouldn't do this. And it's telling the bar and the litigants how you decided the cases and what you can do or can't do. So no matter how complex a case is, it's about somebody having to do something they don't want to do, or they do get to do what they want to do, or they get some money or they don't. No matter how complicated the case may be, if you think of it in those terms, sometimes I found you can sort of get to an answer. And then you have to say in an opening paragraph what the case is about. Can you do that? And sometimes when you do that, you don't really know what the case is about, or you're not clear about it. And so the idea is to try to make it clear so the public and litigants know what they can do and can't do. Here I wind up giving a talk on opinion writing. I didn't expect to do that. Anyway, I'm really overwhelmed by this. And deeply appreciative. And I think after 50 years, it's time to move on and let some new blood take over. It's been a glorious ride. You can't plan for something like this. It just happens. And while you're doing it, doing the job, I didn't ever think about being happy. I just was, because it was such a wonderful experience to bring closure to a problem and to, in any way that I could, make society just a little bit better. So thank you. I'm deeply honored by this, and I'll miss you all. Thank you.
I heard.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Did you? Good. Thank you.
What a wonderful afternoon. Let's recognize again our outstanding Distinguished Service Award recipients. Again, congratulations to you all. Today, we have celebrated today 5 individuals whose dedication to justice has made a lasting impact on California's judicial system. I want to thank all of our award winners who are extraordinary people. I want to thank all of you who are joined us today to celebrate with them their accomplishments, and hope that you will all join us for a reception downstairs in the Milton Marks lobby directly after this proceeding. And Chief, that concludes our program for today. Thank you so much.